3, 2.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa la sharika lahu wa ashhadu Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wow, man. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Everybody up and ready to go this morning, right? Ready to go? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. There's several things that come up this morning, and I'm really impressed about how Allah always takes care of us in some ways, that we don't expect. We have difficulties that are going on in so many parts of the world, but even when I talk to brothers that are suffering so much and sisters who are going through so many difficulties, I still hear them telling me, Alhamdulillah for this and Alhamdulillah for that. And it's an amazing thing when you consider what's really happening in the world. The most positive, we talk about positive attitude and positive thinking, but in reality, what we can talk about is the reality of positive Muslims. The positive Muslim is the one who, first of all, he believes in Allah. Otherwise, he's not a Muslim. The second thing is that in all of the actions and things that take place, he's looking for the things that are good. One of our ulama, one of our sheikhs, he told me one time, he said, you know what? There's a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It means in English that he used the word ajib. Everybody knows what's ajib? Yeah. Ajib, which means like amazing, astonishing, is the condition of the true believer because only good is happening to them. Now, if you said, whoa, wait a minute, how does that work? Listen to the rest of it. He said, everything for the believer is good for them. If they get what they're looking for, what they want in this life, they are happy to Allah. Appreciation, shukr. They give thanks to Allah. But if they face the difficulties, the fitna, the things that happen, that we see around us all the time, there will be what's called in Arabic sabr. Sabr. What is sabr? So some translators, they call it patience. And maybe that's okay, because patience is definitely a part of sabr. But there's more. To be steadfast. Sabr is to be steadfast. You don't move. You stay with what you're doing, and you don't give up. You hang in there. These are expressions that we try to put together to understand something from the Arabic, from the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ. Hang in there. Don't give up. And along the way, we realize that, there is always something that we can look at and say, this is good, this is good, this is good. The end of the hadith, it says, but it's only in the case of the true believer. Only in the case of the mu'min. We use mu'min, when we translate that, we say faith or belief or, But subhanAllah, I think it's a combination of faith and belief. Belief can be in something that you can see. But faith is more or less, in English, what you don't see. So in Arabic, mu'min is a person, somebody who has both. He has the ability to accept what's around him and understand the common sense. And I believe in what's in front of me, yeah, duh. But at the same time, I have the faith to follow through and with the things I don't see, I don't hear. But I know it's real. Alhamdulillah for that. This is related to another topic that I was thinking about on the way over here, that I met some people, amazing people in my life. Really amazing. And I'm talking about their mu'amala, their deeds, their actions. And you find people, forget about religion now. I'm just talking about people, their reaction, interaction with other people. And with it went off? Huh? Yeah, okay. Okay, so for those of you at home who are watching what we just did, we had to restart because I was getting text messages on my phone. I forgot to shut that off. But alhamdulillah, we're here in Piscataway, New Jersey, and we're having a breakfast. Well, everybody here's already had their breakfast. I got here late. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. So, the idea of attitude, the right kind of an attitude, is really a blessing, a big blessing. And we mentioned already a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he said ajib or ajiban is the condition. Amazing, astonishing is the condition of a true believer, a mu'min, because only good happens to them. But before you go further, you have to understand what is good, what is true khair, what is real khair. Because if you say good, depending on whose position, where you're at, what do you call good? Because if you're in a prison and you get out, you think it's good. But if you're not in a prison, even to go in for 1 second, you would say it was bad, right? So it's all in how you look at the situation of somebody and where they're at. And in both cases, you had a prison and an outside of the prison, but where you're at exactly with it, this makes a lot of difference, doesn't it? And in life is the same way. You could be looking at something, what's that famous, hold on a second, this is too full, hold on. Now, is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? Well, first of all, it's not made out of glass. It's actually plastic. But let's get past that, all right? Is this thing half full or half empty? I know the definitive answer, by the way. There is a definitive answer from science. Well, I think logic is more like it, not science. Logic. All right. So, how many think this glass is half full? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many think it's half empty? It's half empty. Yeah? Now I'm just talking about from logic, not the positive thinking thing. Okay? Is it half empty? How many say yes? Half full?
It's full. It's full. Have water, have air.
Alhamdulillah, there's always somebody from Egypt. The brother said it's totally full because it's half full of water and half full of air. All right. Anta Saidi? Never mind. Okay, no problems. Alhamdulillah. So, is it half full of water? Thank you very much, Jazakallah. Or is it half empty of the water? There you go. Feel better now? Actually, from the point of logistics, it has to be whatever, whether it's a quarter, whether it's a half, 3/4, or totally, completely at the top, or even one drop. It is that much full because it was made empty, right? It was made empty. So, as soon as you put anything in it, it's that much full of whatever the content is. And that's a wonderful way to look at life itself. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. Now we have a better liquid here for me to enjoy. By the way, the right temperature for drinking coffee, if you'd like to know. Anybody want to know what's the exact right temperature? 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. This means I spend too much time with coffee. So, I wanted to emphasize the importance of understanding things before you look at a hadith and try to analyze it on your own. Because scholars of Islam, they study a lot of things. Of course, they studied the Quran in the Arabic language. If you can't do that, you're not a scholar of Islam. You could be a scholar of a lot of things, but not of Islam. Because you have to have the Arabiya and you have to have the Quran. That is the foundation before you even open up your mouth or open up any brain or anything. The second thing is hadith, to understand the difference of hadith. Is this sahih? Is it hasan? Is it gharib? Is it ma'du? Because if you don't know, you could make another big mistake. So this is another whole area of studying and understanding before you claim to be a scholar. Okay? The next thing after that is to understand the different scholars' interpretations of what they read, lest you make some of the same mistakes that others in the past have made. And also find a really good understanding from what you're looking at. There are a few hadith out there that if you don't understand it, you could really get twisted up. I'll just give you one example. In translation, of course, that's going to be a problem anyway. Something where the Prophet ﷺ supposedly hates red, the color red. Then you read another hadith and he comes out of his tent or his home and he has a red imamah, you know, the turban on his head. Now, right away you'd think, oh, what? Well, okay, first of all, understand what he was referring to. What red was he not approving of? And what color is it? Because red is a simple... for instance, I'll give you another example. When we talk about the sermon, the last and famous sermon, the Khutbah al-Wada', everybody knows what this is, the farewell sermon they call it. Do you know in it, the translation said at the end of it, that no Arab has any position over a non-Arab. And no white has a position over a black, and no black has a position over the white. Is that right? Everybody knows that, right? Well, that's not what it says in Arabic. Because, now further digression, when you go to Saudi Arabia, for instance, in some of the places, instead of saying Kaif Halik, they'll ask you a different, they'll say Salam alaikum wa alaikum salam. You say Kaif anta, Kaif Halik, right? But in certain dialects or part of the Arab world, they'll ask you about your color. Is that right? No. How many of you know what when they say, what is your color? A shlonek. A shlonek. What is your color? Is exactly what it means. And I always answer them, but they're meaning, what's your mood? What mood are you in? Because we use, what color mood? I'm in a blue mood, in a pink mood. I'm in the pink, but actually it's a good reference. It's not a bad thing to say shlonek. And I always answer them, abiyad, which means in Arabic, white. But in true, if you know about hadith, the Prophet ﷺ didn't really refer to people as white, because in Arabic they call them red. Ahmar. Is it right? Because if anybody's really white, Snow White, they're dead. So now you can begin to understand how easy it is to make a translation and get way off. So let's go back now and look at the hadith we're talking about. Ajib, amazing is the condition of a true believer, because only good is happening to them. This is a better translation, because you start thinking, what do you mean by good? Whenever they have the things that they're asking for, or the things they want, they will say, Alhamdulillah, Shukr Allah, thank you for what I'm getting, Almighty God, my Lord, you're giving me what I like. This is the attitude of a true believer. But what about the one who's having things that they didn't want? The chaos, the trials, tribulations, what's it in Arabic is called fitna. What about this guy? What's his relationship when he gets that? And all the believers get that. All of the believers since Adam until the last person on the planet is going to have these difficulties come to them. But they will remain steadfast. They will remain patient. They will remain hanging in there. They won't give up. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he said, and this is good for them, but it's only in the case of the true believer. Now, this brings me to another topic that occurred to me this morning on the way over here. And I was thinking about this because I've met a lot of amazing people in my life, really amazing people. And setting aside religion or affiliation of any government or whatever, just people themselves. You might be surprised to learn that some people, not Muslims, could still have the character in this life of a real believer. What is the character of a real believer? After the belief, after their belief, is they put it into practice. Now, according to the Bible, and I spent more time with the Bible, almost 50 years before I got to Islam, so I realized something very important mentioned in the New Testament. It's talking about your faith, your belief. And it's telling them that they're really, your faith is nothing if you don't have any muamala, if you don't have good deeds. At the same time, the same Bible is telling them your good works, your muamala, are filthy rags before the Lord. Now that might really confuse a lot of believers of the Christians. It might confuse them, and they might say there's a contradiction in my Bible. And trust me, there's plenty of that, but this is what we have also in Islam. Your good works are only going to be accepted by Almighty Allah by His mercy. You might think, oh, I did something so perfect, I did so good. No, if He doesn't accept it, it doesn't really matter, because He knows what was in your heart at the time. So without the right belief, these deeds are nothing. Without the right deeds, then your faith is very weak, very, very close to not being accepted as well. And I'd like to give an example. Is there somebody here that would like to just try to do something? Anybody like to? Would you like to try something? Come over here, first of all. Come, stand over here. Come on over here. Come on. Tell me your name.
Aris,
Aris? How old are you?
11.
You're 11 years old? MashaAllah. All right. Now, I want you to help us do an example. Can you stand right over here? Now, the folks at home, I'm going to try to put this so they can see you. All righty. There we go. Now, can you lift up your right leg? Yeah, okay. All right. Now, all I want you to do, you can put it back down. What I want you to do is just walk over there one step at a time. Can you just walk over to our brother in the blue shirt? Wait a minute. Hold on. Just take it with your right leg. Okay. Now take another step. No. With the right leg. Okay. Another step with the right leg. No, don't move the left leg.
Okay.
Just the right leg. Can you walk over there just the right leg?
No.
No. Sounds easy. It sounded easy, didn't it? Can you just walk over there? Yeah. On the right leg. What'll happen? Eventually you'll be doing the splits or you'll fall down, right?
Yeah.
Right? So that doesn't work too good. So can you clap? Okay, let me see the right hand. All right, that's a good hand, all right? So let me see you just clap with one hand.
I can't go. Well, if I hit the air.
You can't clap with one hand?
Yes.
Amazing, isn't it? Something as simple as that. But you know what the lesson is, Aris?
What?
The lesson is that sometimes we need to have two things to make anything work. So faith and works. So this is our faith. This is our action, our deeds. Now you can clap. All right, now you got your faith, the right foot. Okay, good deeds, the left foot. And you can walk back to your seat. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen. So, what I was trying to emphasize with this little exercise with Iris, thank you, Jazakallah khair, thank you so much for that, was that you have to give a balance to your life. So, as amazing as so many people are, and I'll give you one example. From the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he was really praising somebody for what they had done by telling us a story about a person who is going out of his way. He gave us actually many stories and many, many examples of people that go out of their way to help other people. But is that sufficient, just the good deeds? Because we see that. We'll say, oh, this is an unnoticed, and look what they did. They did something so good. So it should be that this person will go to Jannah, get paradise, right? Okay, now, I saw a man. I moved into a house when I lived in Ohio. And when I got to this house, it had a big lawn, a front lawn and a back lawn, almost an acre of land. And I asked the owner of the property, when I moved in, I said, no, am I responsible for cutting the grass? He said, no, somebody will come and cut it. And every week this man would come and he would bring a big trailer and he'd back his tractor off of it and he would mow this grass up. And then didn't say anything, he would just put it all back together and he would leave. I figured he was getting paid, obviously, right? Wouldn't you think that? One day I took some water out to him. I saw it was hot and he was working out there, and I said, actually my wife pushed me to it. She said, take him some water. Come think about it. She might be watching. I have to clarify everything. Sound like I'm a good guy to her. Anyhow, so I took this water out to him, and he stopped and he looked at me and he said, well, thank you so much. And I said, well, I just, saw you out here, hot and everything. He said, you know why I mowed this lawn? And I thought, well, obviously to get money, I didn't say anything. He said, the one who used to own this house was such a dear friend of mine, but he was not able to mow his lawn because of his health. And I used to always come and mow this lawn. And even now, I miss him and I feel like I'm close to him when I mow this lawn, and I do that for him. So I asked the owner of the house. He said, oh, no, we just bought the place. Nothing, we don't know. We just know this guy comes and mows it, so we don't care. And until we moved out of that man always came and he always did that. We were there almost like 2 years or something like that. He never, ever stopped. Except when it snowed. I should have called him asking me, you got a snow blower? But seriously, look at this. Look at the quality of somebody who will do these kinds of things. So I wanted to share with him something, and I give him this little card. This little card, it tells you about Guidance TV, how you can find about what real belief is all about on Guidance TV. The other thing that I gave him, because I know he's got his pickup truck and his trailer, I want to give him this bumper sticker to put on there and let everybody know. Look what it says. It says, worship the Creator, not the creation. Is that simple enough? Now, as far as who you see doing so many good deeds, we do appreciate good deeds. My father, rahimahullah, before he passed away, accepted Islam, mashallah, But in his life, he was living the life of a Muslim so many ways, so many wonderful things. Number one, he didn't drink. He didn't smoke. He didn't use bad language. That's nice. He was also very soft in his voice, and he never argued with people. That's an amazing thing. One of the signs that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned about knowing if somebody's a munafiq or not like a hypocrite is that when they argue, they use, a strong way in their argument, evil-like almost, So he never did that. All the life that I spent with him, no. It was always quiet, reserved. A lot of the description you hear about good Muslims, my father already had that. Also, he didn't believe that the translation of the Bible was the same Bible of the original, just like we don't. He already had that. I learned that when I was a little kid. So these things can add up, and maybe Allah will guide a person. But when you see people doing good acts, you should appreciate them. And my father used to go to the street cleaners, to the people cleaning the tables in the restaurants, and he would stop. And you're there with business people wearing nice suits and stuff, but he would go over to these people that normally was, nobody is special, But he would go over to them and he'd say, "You're doing a very good job. Keep up the good work. And where would we be without you?" And they'd say, "Well, thank you." Whoa. And they'd look at him like, "Who's this man? Oh, this is my friend forever. I love this guy." Because how many times do we really appreciate somebody who is doing these menial tasks? We didn't care. It was, "Hey, garbage man, get over here, get some garbage." Huh? It's kind of the way we act. But when a person goes to the trouble to think about every person in the room, every single individual that you encounter in a day, and you go up to them and make them feel better about themselves. And you know what? The good Lord above, now I'm using Texas language, but the good Lord above, he appreciates when a person does that. And if they will ask him to guide them, you will be surprised they might be better Muslims than us. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a verse that many people read only the first half of it, and they're talking about da'wah. Da'wah, or the invitation, the invite to Islam, because it has something really powerful in the first part, but they don't read the second part. Would you like to hear it? I was hoping you'd say yes, because that's what I'm going to do anyway. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. Usually they stop right there. How many of you know that's not the end of the verse? Anybody know the rest of the verse? Who knows the rest of the verse? I didn't ask you to recite it. That was a yes or no. Okay. You put your hand up. See the boy over here? Okay. When you grow up, I want you to be just like this guy. Aris, do you know the rest of the verse? You do? Well, in a minute, I'm going to ask you to come over and do that, okay? But first, I want to tell you, what does the first part of it mean? You are the best of nations raised up for human beings. Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas, for the human beings. But why? Because of amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. Because this is mentioned in here. The calling to, or commanding. When you use the word amr, this is commanding. You're commanding, like the 10 Commandments in the Bible. You're commanding for the khayr. What is good? Yeah, khayr. the ultimate good. And you're forbidding the ultimate bad. Now, why did I use the word ultimate? Because it's not in the Quran. It just says, كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ Maruf. But what's the opposite? The munkar. Because it's mentioning that you're calling to the maruf, you're forbidding the munkar. But why did I use the word ultimate? Because then it says, وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. And you believe in Allah. It's the only place in the Quran that you can find this. The only place in the Quran you will find the belief in Allah coming after the mu'amala, the actions. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about two things. Belief and action. Belief and action. This is what we're talking about. You have to believe in Allah before you do anything. Otherwise, it's not going to be accepted. Is that the Islamic take on everything? But why is it in this verse, the belief in Allah coming after the mention of the two deeds? So it bothered me so much because I've found a lot of contradictory things within the Bible and in the teachings of various religions. But I always thought there could not be a mistake in the Quran. So before I make that assumption, I'll go to scholars and ask them. A real scholar will smile and say, Allahu Alam, Allah knows best. And then he will ask you questions about what you said. And it's exactly what he did. He said, how are you understanding maruf and munkar? How do you understand this calling to the good or forbidding the evil? I said, yeah, well, call the good, forbid evil. He said, you're not wrong, but you're definitely not all right. I said, how? He said, because this is the ultimate good and the ultimate evil. What does that mean? What is the ultimate good? You cannot survive without it on the day of judgment. La ilaha illallah is the understanding, the first commandment in the Old Testament, the first commandment in the New Testament, and the first commandment in the last Testament, which is the Quran. All agree 100%. Let's go back to the Jewish Testament, what we call the Jewish Testament or the Old Testament, okay, the Torah. In the book of Exodus, chapter 20, you'll find that it says, I'm the Lord your God that brought you out of the land of Egypt, the house of bondage, slavery. You know no other God beside me. Beside me there's no other God. And then comes the Roman numeral 1, first commandment. Thou shalt have no other gods beside me. Now let's jump up and go to the next testament, the Injil, the good news, the gospel, all right? And they're asking in the book of Mark, chapter 12, verse 29, they're asking Isa, Jesus, peace and blessing be upon him, good master, what is the greatest commandment? They're asking him, what's the greatest commandment? Now, in some of the churches I visited, I would hear them tell you that the response was that you have to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your strength, and a commandment like it to love your brothers yourself. That's not wrong. That's there. But you missed the first part of the verse. So they're missing the first part of the verse, and Muslims are missing the second part of a verse. Watch what happens when you understand these two things. First of all, what Jesus replied to them was, to know, O Israel, the Lord your God is one Lord. And him you have to love with all your heart, all your mind, all your strength, and a commandment like unto it, to love your neighbor as yourself. Some Christian preachers say, well, then he brought this second commandment because it's not in the commandments, blah, blah, blah. But that exact quote is in the book of Leviticus in the Old Testament. So he's only quoting exactly what they've always had. He's quoting that. So for my Christian friends who are watching right now, Jesus didn't bring anything new. In fact, he said that in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 17. Do not think that I came to destroy the Sharia or the law, Sharia of God. I did not come to destroy the law and the prophets. He says that. So meaning the teachings of the prophets and the law that comes with Moses, he didn't come to destroy it. And he repeated that. I did not come to destroy the law and the prophets, but rather to fulfill, to complete, to fulfill. For who? And now focus on this. He also said, I only came to the lost sheep of the tribe of Israel. Now, some people say, oh, well, he came for all mankind. No, Muhammad did that. What is the number one religion on the face of the earth today? It's not Catholic. In 2007, the cardinals, close to the Pope, announced clearly that Islam had passed them. It's not the Protestants. And by the way, these are, if you've heard any of our programs we've been doing nightly, we've been talking about this again and again and again. The Catholic Church was established long before Jesus existed. Because it was a pagan church. It was called the Universal Church of Rome. And I don't have time to give you that whole scenario. That's a very big story. But just let you figure it out. They never would change any of their basic teachings, including the name of the church itself. It was a pagan church. And they had a sun god. They had the god Mithras, and they forced the Christians to change the date of birth of Jesus to be the 25th of December to match the day of worship of this Mithras. Also that they had a goddess by the name of Ishtar, the goddess of fertility. We just had something about this recently, didn't we? Didn't you? You didn't remember? The Feast of Ishtar, you know, with the rabbits and the colored eggs? Fertility? Oh, you mispronounce it. It's not Easter, it's Ishtar. That is exactly what it was, and it still is today. That's why some Christians do not celebrate Easter. That's also why some Christians don't want any statues or images, because that's the second commandment in the Old Testament. No statues, no images. Don't make unto me any graven image of anything that creeps upon the earth, swims in the sea beneath, or flies in the air above. Whoa, that sounds like Muslims, doesn't it? The more you study this, you realize, whoa, okay. So there is a similarity here. Well, it's not a similarity, it's a continuation of the same message. And the only reason that we still have the Quran today is not because of you or me. It's because of Allah. Because just as people in the past twisted the meanings, twisted the translations, twisted how things are going to appeal to people, compromising. Just like they did when they accepted that the Catholic Church of Rome took over. It was called the Universal Church of Rome. They never changed the name. Do you know how to say universal in Latin? Catholic. So this religion of Catholic is not the same as the Protestant. They've got similarities because the Protestants came out of the Catholic Church. Did you know that? Why do you think they're called protesters? They were protesting a lot of things that were going on in the church, including the statues and images and so on. Oh yeah, that's why they're called Protestants. We just pronounce it differently today. Now, that has nothing to do, by the way, with the Orthodox. This is another kind of Christianity, the Orthodox. But rather than go back into all of that, many of you online who've seen it and are watching on our satellite, you already know what we're talking about. But I just wanted to mention that you can see that human beings, let's just say human beings in general, we have a tendency to deviate away from real truth anytime there's a need for a compromise. We'll compromise, yeah. And some things you must not compromise. You must not compromise the right belief. There is one God. And by the way, this is on another subject, but while I got my finger up, somebody show me the peace symbol with your hand. Show me the peace symbol. Peace symbol? Come on over here, Iris. I want the folks at home to see this. Come stand right over here till you can see yourself in there. Okay. Show me the peace symbol. You know what's wrong with that? That's the letter V. So it doesn't have anything to do with anything that we know about, does it? Why did you hold this up? Okay. There is a word in Arabic. Salam. Do you know that word? What does it mean?
Peace.
It means peace. It's also somebody's name. Whose name is Salam? As-Salam.
Allah.
Allah. Man, this guy knows a lot of stuff. I did not expect him to come up with that. You're right. That is Allah's name. As-Salam. So Allah is one. Yeah? Ahad and Wahid. Yeah? Okay, so now how many fingers you going to hold up?
One.
One. Yes. That's the real peace symbol. Because there is no peace without a salam. Because peace comes from Allah. Don't forget that. When anybody says to you, peace, hold up one finger and say, yes, peace. And I say, well, why you didn't hold up two? Because I only have one God, Allah. Alhamdulillah. Aris, what's the rest of the verse? Read the whole verse for me. Come on. Okay, go ahead.
كنتم
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله ولو آمن أهل الكتاب لكان خيرا لهم منهم المؤمنون وأكثرهم الفاسقون.
MashaAllah. Aris, Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. Allahu Akbar. Thank you. You can go relax. Thank you. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. والله أمان أهل الكتاب لكان خيرا لهم منهم المؤمنون وأكثرهم الفاسقون. Are there any believers on the earth today other than so-called Muslims? We'll say, no, we're the only believers. Really? That's not what the Quran said. Because that's present tense of the verb. Don't play the game like some people try to twist meanings. This is very dangerous in Islam. If you don't know, say Allahu Alam. Please, brothers, don't put yourself in that trick because shaitan is waiting for you. Don't give a meaning to something, say Allahu Alam. Even the scholars are saying Allahu Alam before they give an answer. In this it says, Wallahu amana al-kitab. And if the people of the book, the Ahlul Kitab, had imana, true belief, true faith, it's better for them. It's better for them. But then it says, minhum, from them are true believers. Minhum mu'minun, true believers from the Christians and the Jews, even today. So don't give up on giving dawah. Don't ever give up. My father was one of those people. I just told you about him. My father was one of those people. He had the akhlaq. He had the mannerisms. He had this mu'amala. He had those things, but he didn't have the Quran. He didn't have the knowledge of Islam. As soon as he heard it, he said, I've always thought that. And he started asking me right away about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and how do I learn how to pray. Many things that he got into immediately. He called me long distance. I lived in San Antonio. He lived in Dallas. It's over 200 miles away. He said, can you come up here and teach me how to pray? Now, for my dad to ever ask anybody to teach him something, I never heard that in my life. And anything that I could do in my life, he could always do it better. Whether it was music, whether it was salesmanship, whether it was thinking. But that was the first time I ever heard him say, come and teach me something. That's how much he wanted to do what Islam is teaching us to do. So you can see people who have the good akhlaq, the good behavior, the good character, but they might not be believers. I'm not telling you that you can tell who the believers are. I'm just saying don't give up on people. Just as we found out now there are things that we don't know, the things that we can learn every day. So it's true of other people too. And I want us to learn how to share this message. There's a basic message. I'm going to repeat again for the folks at home that might have just tuned in. We believe in worshiping the Creator, the one and only Creator of everything that exists, who is not like His creation. Even when we say He, it doesn't mean gender, because the word Allah doesn't have gender, doesn't have male or female. You say Allahu, Allah He is. It's just because of, we don't say Allah is it, you know. Without gender and without plural, although we find in the Quran, Nahnu, which means Nahnu khalaqna, we created you guys. But these are expressions that you would use, just like when I say to you directly, in a form of the English language, a plural of a verb. Because if I say he is or she is, I'm using is, which is singular. But if there are many chairs, I say those chairs are. Those people are. But when I say to you, I say you are. It's out of respect. I don't say you is. Well, certain parts of New Jersey, they still say that. But anyway, that's different. So, yeah. So you're learning, and I'm learning every day, something new, something beneficial, and it's all good for us. It's all good for us, but only in the case of the true believer. So whatever, now I asked you in the beginning, there's a word, this is the word for today. What's the word?
Attitude.
Attitude. And what is the attitude of the Muslim? An attitude of gratitude. If you have an attitude of gratitude, look at the hadith again. The Prophet ﷺ said, and we'll end with this, that ajib, amazing is the condition of the true believer. Because when he gets the things that he likes, what he wants, he's thankful to Allah, the attitude of gratitude. And when he gets the condition of chaos and fitna, the Arabic word for this, horrible things are happening to him, there's difficulties beyond difficulties, fitna, more than mushkila, it's fitna, right? Okay, so in this case, he will make sabr. Steadfast, hang in there, don't give up. And that's why you see a Muslim, no matter what, you ask him, how's everything going? The first word, even if he's going to tell you the long story of the operation and how everybody got in a car wreck or whatever it's going to be, the first word will be, Alhamdulillah. Praise God. So for the Christians who are watching this now, you like to say praise God, you can say it even better in the Arabic way, because alhamd is praise, thanksgiving, and so many more things than just saying thanks. It's a huge word, hamd. Alhamdulillah. The hamd is to Allah. And if you said, well, I don't want to say Allah, that's His name. Ilah is the Arabic for God, not Allah. Ilah is God. But the only God has a name, and we know His name, Allah. and he has other, we say names, characteristics, Isma al-Safa, and in our other programs we're going to be talking about that. So stay tuned, stay guided with Guidance TV. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.